Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Ravens Outpost. I do apologize about last week, but you work sometimes comes before playing. Yeah, you got to make that money. Lord knows YouTube ain't paying me nothing. That's all right though. Hope everybody's doing all right out there. I'm hanging in there. Everybody's hanging in there. Pyro, how's it going, man? Good to see you. You're the first one in chat. It's it's, you doing all right, man? Sometimes there's a little delay. I've noticed that. Um, I've been doing a lot of thinking about, the direction I've been taking this channel in, and I've come to the conclusion this is about this. This is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing, and this is how I'm going to go forward from here on out. Um, I'm going to be looking at, covering some paranormal news if I can. I'm looking at all different things. Um, I want to talk about Bigfoot. I want to talk about Dogman. I want to talk about ghosts, vampires, zombies. You name it. Um, if it's out there and it's been talked about before, I'd like to talk about it and bring it up and discuss it. What's up, Claude? How you doing, man? Good to see you. But I've been really into looking into the origins of humanity, looking at different um, cultures and their what they call creation myths, but it's kind of a hard spin to put on that, calling it a creation myth when it falls into people's belief system. You know, um, I hate calling it that, even when you know Christians have their own creation myth. So chill on that a little bit. That's what they call it. Um, and most of all of it predates whatever science has previously told us, and it's we found evidence now. It's scientifically proven that there are this Earth has went through changes many times over, and it could be the fact that hey Hoff, what's up, man? It could be the fact that we're just like Graham Hancock has mentioned before. We're a species with amnesia. You know, when Plato talked about Atlantis and how he found out about that, you know, the statesman Solon that went to Egypt and to gather information about Egypt's um, their belief system and their society and how it worked, and he told them the priest that was there said you only see just what this incarnation, there's been many before. And Solon's like, what do you mean? Well, the earth has risen, fallen, and risen again many, many times. And that's when you think about that, conventional science has dictated that, you know, um, civilization as we know it, where we gather as, um, you know, civilians of a greater society. We're cities and towns. We're not moving around as hunter gatherers. It's conventional science says we've only been around doing this for 6,000 years. We're monolithic structures out there that have been around for probably 10 to 12,000 more than that. And some instances, some sources believe that they've been around much longer than between 50 to 100,000 years. So, hey, Bill, how are you doing, man? I got busy I meant to call you this past weekend, man, and then dude, I'm sorry. I really want to catch up with you because I really want to hear what you have to say, man. I really do. This weekend's going to be a bust too. I've got a big family thing, big shindig up in Maryland. I'm gonna be heading up there this weekend, and if you hear stuff in the background, don't pay no attention to it. I got a lively house, even at this time of night. I'm glad you're doing better, man. I'm glad you're doing better. All right. But they'll, that's I'm just getting my feet wet into this, and I'm still learning. But from what I'm learning, our our world is a lot older, and us as a us as a civilization, as a species, there's a lot more to us than we even know. Um, if you look at historical texts and look past look past the Christian Bible and then look forward to that. When you're talking about Suma and the ancient rulers of Samaria, we're talking a rule that spanned between all the generations of ruling um, emperors or god kings. That spans nearly 200,000 years. And there's only like 12 of them. And then you go into the Christian Bible and you look and see the, you know, longevity of the people who lived in Genesis. Living 800 to almost 1,000 years. Oh, yes, absolutely. Um, if you listen to people like Graham Hancock or Randall Carlson, they they talk about extinction level events that have happened to this planet, um, probably untold amount of times. We don't know how many times this has happened. According to ice core that was pulled from the Antarctic, they are doing a study on a couple of miles worth of ice core that tells a story about the evolution, the rise and fall of with an extinction event um, that happened here on Earth several times. And that's not just talking about the flood or the ice age. When we're talking about A woolly mammoth that was found flash frozen. This mammoth it was in a state of condition to where there was still food in its mouth, and in it the contents of its stomach had not had a chance to digest at all. Okay, it happened that quick. There was no, oh wait a minute, I'm going to sit here and freeze to death. It was instantaneous, like it was flash frozen. Now that's insane. That's a what does that? What does that? And there are places in around the Middle East in the the Sahara, where you can find balls of glass. That means the Earth's surface there in that particular region had to reach over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. What does that? To turn sand to glass. What does that? I mean, you well, the first thing that comes to mind is some type of nuclear device. Um, but yeah, ancient people didn't have anything that like that, right? Um, do are any of you guys familiar with Danica Patrick? She's former Indy and NASCAR driver, female Indy NASCAR driver, gained quite a bit of notoriety because she was good. She was good. She didn't take no shit either. I really have a lot of respect for her. And she's got her own show on YouTube, and she had someone else on there. She's had quite a few people on there um, that I respect, and she was talking to this one individual, and I'll tell you who he is. You guys may know him, may recognize the name. The fellow's name is Josh Gates. Self-proclaimed cryptozoologist, explorer, and whatnot. He's dude, she's a lot cute. What are you talking about? Right, right. Nut. But she had Josh Gates on there, and now she is very open minded about a lot of things, and I would, I know, it probably would never happen ever, but I would love to sit down and have a conversation with her because I mean she has resources, right? She has resources that I don't. I've got a couple people I want to reach out to now that are a lot more approachable than you would think, but I'm waiting on that. Um, she is. She's just not on the outside too. She's on the inside. I mean, you could just tell it's just kind of falling in love with her brain and how it works. But she had this guy on there, and she was asking about his ideas about how um, the Egyptians built the pyramids. And his answer made me lose so much respect for him. I mean, down to the point where I said, "This dude's a shill. This dude's a straight up shill," and he, he's been bought by the corporate media, and he's he's gonna peddle the lies. He fell right in with the classical Egyptologists that believe that a few hundred to 1,000 slaves drug these blocks using wooden rollers and a lot of hemp rope to put on some type of dinky boat to sail it from the quarry where it was mined. And these blocks were cut already. They were pre-cut there at the quarry and put wherever. And he believes that they were pre-cut there and they were shipped to the foundation site where the Great Pyramids were constructed. And Dee Dee, dude. And Dee Dee. She's awful easy on the eyes. That's not gonna lie there. But she called him on his bullshit. You could look at her face and she was smiling, but you could tell she was a little disgusted with where he was going with it. And I half expected this. She was really classy about it, a lot classier than I would have been. I would have called him on his bullshit and straight up said, "Dude, you're the fuck are you talking about? Are you out of your mind? Really? You're gonna tell me that they built these pyramids using that method and bronze tools and saws to fit these blocks into it with laser precision using these?" And I think he was like, you'd be surprised at what humans could do with a lot of time on their hands and enough motivation. I said, a lot of time on their hands and motivation. You're nuts. What? Oh my God. So, yeah. Just watching that. And, I try to look at different views. I'm not going to stick myself in a box and say this guy has the absolute right idea. I've learned better than that. I'm trying to look at different avenues, but when it comes to that ridiculous idea, see, this is what I'm talking about. There's no way, not there's no way they could do it with the amount of people that they had. The these megalithic structures are just that megalithic. I mean, blocks weighing 70, 80 tons. And not just that, if you look at the inside of these structures, the largest of these structures, when we were kids, I know when we were, you guys are the same way. Sup, Hoss? How you doing, man? That he was that. There's no way they could have done that. They could not have transported those blocks with that type of technology that these archaeologists and geologists say they had at the time. And I do honestly believe, because you can't carbon date stone, you have to carbon date whatever um, flora is found at the site, and how old it is. And if you look at the Sphinx, it's also stated that the Sphinx, the head on that Sphinx, is not the original face that was on the Sphinx. It's been theorized by some scholars that the the head on that Sphinx was an actual lion's head. And it's just how everything lines up. I mean, that's just how that is. But there are scholars that saying that, you know, the Egyptian pyramids were way older. They were there before that the Egyptians were there. Now there are other pyramids throughout Egypt that have that obviously lack the the structural ingenuity. You know, that the people who constructed the original Great Pyramids were not the ones who constructed these others. Yeah, somebody's been doing their homework. A lot of the hieroglyphs are also uh, done that way. There's a lot of hieroglyphs that were totally eradicated. Now, blocking out the history. I'm still digging into that. So, I gotta have my notes prepared for that one. But I hope you've been doing a little bit more digging than Ancient Aliens. But there's actually, people dig on Ancient Aliens a lot. And to be honest, there's real nuggets of truth in that show. And because if you actually dig around and you look at um, some of the older texts, you get into ancient texts as far as you can dig into, you'll see that a lot of them are telling the truth. I mean, their hypothesis is pretty much spot on. Giorgio, the dude with the hair. He's all right. He's all right. Hey, Jen, how are you doing tonight? Let's see here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it brings me back to the. I'm glad you brought up the ancient aliens thing there, Hoff, because that's really where I started in this, rabbit hole. Fanning fast, long day out. Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good. Uh, well, whenever you gotta pass out, just pass out. Yeah, yeah. They take more of that along the lines of truth, and they don't. They ignore this. This incarnation of human beings is, I've got to say, probably about as much as has about as much hubris as probably anybody else that come before us. Yep, they they believe that under the they did some ground penetrating radar, and you bring this up. They had ground penetrating radar, and they saw a chamber under the left foot of the Sphinx, a very sizable chamber that they believe could be the chamber of knowledge, which is cool as shit. If that is so, and it people look when you say they're secretly they're going to excavate it in secret, they'll have to because they were the archaeologists were kicked out of there once they found once the Egyptian government found that they found that on their penetrating radar. They're like, yeah, okay, you're done, no more, no more, you're out of here. So, and the point I was getting to, Hoff, I'm glad you brought up the ancient aliens thing because there's a lot of theories that, I mean, this comes back to different civilizations that were around the world. Um, a lot of Native American societies here don't subscribe. They don't subscribe to that theory that the Native Americans come from Asia across a land bridge from you know North Asia into North America across the Bering Strait. Even even Pyro has talked about his elders talking about it, telling a story about how they come from an island nation in the Pacific. Am I correct in saying that? I don't want to misquote you, man. I don't want to misquote you if but there's more to it. There's more to it than that, and they they preach this stuff to us as it's gospel, and it's not. That that the Native Americans come over here a couple of thousand years ago on across a land bridge when most likely they sailed here. I mean, how in the world does a Native American chieftain that's entombed in, I think it was in New Mexico, wind up having his hands on, a freaking Sanskrit, a Sumerian tablet? How does Egyptian hieroglyphs get put in the Grand Canyon? Which is something I would love to see, but they don't want you down in there. They don't want you anywhere near it. I wonder why. See, that's what I'm talking about. The Cherokee, the Hopi. And this right here, I think, is what they're trying to hide. This is what I think they're trying to hide. And why? A lot. There are there are pyramids all over the world. There are pyramids all over the world. And I mean, if you these civilizations talk about in their quote unquote creation myths, I'm going to use that term begrudgingly, but I'm going to use it, that in in the dawn of creation, mankind was seated here, that we were put here by beings from the stars, the star people. In ancient Sumeria, what are they called? The Anunnaki. What does Anunnaki mean? Anunnaki, the Anunnaki. Some people who are familiar with the term but haven't done any real research into it think that it's just these giant beings that that's depicted on those the reliefs, the tablets on the stone. But it's anyone that came from the heavens, those who dwelled in the stars and came to earth. And you talk about the fallen angels, okay, in the Christian Bible, they would also be called the Anunnaki. That's just where I'm getting this all this information. Yes, a lot has been kept from us for centuries. There, see here, this is another part I was just getting ready to get to. Right here, under the sea floor, where the craziest stuff is to be found, size of things that are mind blowing. Exactly, there are cities on the ocean floor, and right here, this is one of the reasons why there are a lot of people who are not ready for this. Um, let's see. I want to share something with you guys. Okay, you guys have remember week before last. I let's see. Okay, here we go. Well, look at this one right here. If you guys remember, I showed this to you uh, 2 weeks ago. NASA wants to turn satellites into alien hunters. That's why the space agency has embarked on such a seemingly fringe subject. Is it is said that one of its remnants is to look for life outside of Earth. Now, this was in July of this year. Okay, just and now, what's NASA doing? For 50 years, over 50 years. Okay, we have it's been that long since we've been to the moon. Now, what are we trying to do? We're trying to go back to the moon. For those of you who actually believe that actually happened. Oh, just 1 second. I'll be right back. All right. Hold on. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. I see. There's so many people that have talked about that. If you check out the channel, YouTube channel, Forbidden Knowledge, Forbidden Knowledge. Um, they talked about that last night, night before last. No, it was last night, and so here we go. We're going to the moon. Here we go. Why NASA is returning to the moon 50 years later. I know this is CNN. Just bear with me. I looked through article after article after article trying to find the best ones, but it's time to go back to the moon. Almost 50 years after the last Apollo mission ventured to the lunar surface, NASA has established a program that promises to land humans on unexplored lunar regions and eventually the surface of Mars. And it all begins with Artemis 1. It's no coincidence that the Artemis program is named for the twin sister of Apollo from Greek mythology. Artemis was picked up on the famed Apollo program left off in 1972 by sending crew missions to the moon, but in a new way. Goals of the Artemis program include landing diverse crews of astronauts on the moon and exploring the shadowy lunar South Pole for the first time. The ambitious efforts also aims to establish a sustained presence on the moon and create reusable systems that can enable human exploration of Mars and perhaps beyond. So that's going to be our satellite station. I would say that their effort is to map out and construct a space station there, a landing and launching workable space station that where we're not trapped by Earth's gravity. That way we can actually, slingshot further, faster, and with, a lot greater speed to get to where we need to go. So that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm no scientist, but who knows? Could be. But, and here we go after this one. I'll read this one right here. The scheduled launch of Artemis 1 mission moon rocket was scrubbed Monday, NASA officials announced, before later vowing that it was not going to fly until it's ready. The rocket was set to lift off on a mission to put crew capsules with 3 test dummies into orbit around the moon. The decision to call off the launch comes after crews working on the project encountered an issue chilling down engine number 3, amongst other factors, according to Artemis mission manager Mike Sarfin. We need the engine to be at least cryogenically cool temperatures such that when it starts that it's not shocked with all the cold fuel that flows through it. So we needed a little extra time to assess that, Sarfin told reporters Monday afternoon. When the team started working through that, they also saw an issue with a vent valve at the inner tank, he continued. So the combination of not being able to get the engine 3 chilled down and the vent valve issue that they saw at the inner tank really caused this to pause today, and we felt like we needed a little more time, Sarfin added. There was also a series of weather issues throughout the window. The next launch attempt won't be until mid-Friday at the earliest, but Sarfin suggested that the crew working on the mission needed time to assess where things stand. And with that being said, this is the latest. It's kind of cool, huh? And here we go. All eyes will be on the historic launch complex 39B when the Orion spacecraft and the Space Launch System (SLS) rockets lift off for the first time from NASA's modernized Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Launch date September 3rd. Mission duration 37 days, 23 hours, 53 minutes. Total distance 1.3 million miles. Re-entry speed 24,500 miles. That's March 30. What? Mach 32. Mach 32, y'all. That's shit. That's nuts. God bless you. You're welcome. Let's see. It's right here. I have not. I need to look that up. But with all the, here's something else that I was thinking about too, and you know, I know I'm reaching here, but with the uptick of UFO sightings and this soft disclosure that they've been putting out, they've been saying that the government has actually been investigating these sightings and all like that. With with NASA saying they're recouping their satellites and they're going to send people to the moon, I just think they're gearing up. I think they're gearing up for contact, man. I really do. I really think they're gearing up for contact. That's a show I never have been able to get into. I just haven't. Well, we've been talking for 44 minutes. It just goes on. Um, while we're here, there's a couple of people that I'd like for you guys to send well wishes to, and um, uh, if you pray. Um, if y'all know that Daniela Aiello for Bigfoot Odyssey, she's been out of commission for a little while. She really needs your support and sending really good vibes her way. Um, someone else, if you notice, there's someone else who's not in chat right now, and that's Ray Dahl. Um, send both of these beautiful people some well wishes of strength and healing because they're going through a little bit of a rough patch right now, and I think the world of both of these people, and these ladies are just a number one in my book. And if you could just like I said, just keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Send them well wishes, for strength and healing and serenity. They need a little peace. So I want to take that moment to give these two beautiful people a shout out. And I want to thank, if you happen to be watching or listening at this whenever, no, and I thank the world of you. And uh, both of you, I do. I think the world of you, and you're always on my mind. I'm not one to pester. Otherwise, I would be definitely on that chat all the time. But I I believe in giving people their space. So, but yeah, they're both going through the rough patch right there that I know of, and it's kind of rough. But with that being said, um, my thoughts and prayers are going out to them. But we're back here. Um, I wanted to go into, if you saw it in the title screen, Richie, how you doing? I did not know that. Um, if you could put Christy Sci-Fi in your thoughts and prayers as well. Give her a shout out. You know, um, strength and healing, strength and healing. With the power of the mind, our collective consciousness. There's a lot to be said about that. There's a lot to be said about that positive energy. Um, you know, and give people the that little extra push. You know, affect the you know stuff around you. But well, you have to dig around and find credible sources, man. Um, Jimmy Scorsetti. Talk about. Uh, well, let's pull up a few. Dr. Stephen Greer. Now, I've had my misgivings about him for a while. Stephen Greer, but yeah, I was wondering about his credibility and his genuine authenticity when it comes to what he says about wanting everybody to know about what's going on. And a few things have happened over the past couple of weeks that have swayed me back and let's let's give Stephen Greer another chance camp. Because there's been a few um, bad eggs out there. That's bad actors, if you will, that have been spreading a lot of misinformation. Some of these are well, they're just bad people, and trying to make that money, and on top of that, there's just spreading lies, misinformation. Um, you look for the dark journalist, um, um, Linda Moulton Howe. She's a good one. Like I said, Jimmy Corsetti, when he talks a lot about ancient civilizations, you talk with him, Graham Hancock, and um, shoot, hold on. I believe Stevens cut ties with a lot of these people he was previously attached to, and he's he's speaking a lot of truth. I think more so than I believe he was before. Randall Carlson is another one that you could look to. When you're looking at ancient civilizations. Um, I could, just name off a bunch. Oh, another one, Billy Carson, not Carlson, Billy Carson, and Matthew LaCroix are a couple more that you could look at. Um, Jordan Maxwell. Of course, I look at Gaia too. I mean, you really have to be a free thinker, think for yourself, and separate the wheat from the chaff. You got to sort through the bullshit to get to the real meat and potatoes of what they're trying to say. There is another one. Well, no, if you want to take a look at it, I mean, they have some really good information on there too. It's After School. It's a YouTube channel. It's After AFTER School SKOOL After School, and you check them out. They've got some pretty decent stuff. And Earth, like I said, Earth Files with Linda Moulton Howe. Um, some of the stuff she talks about, she's got receipts, she's got documentation. See, they really do. The discredit machine is real, and they're gonna try and go after whoever is telling the truth. I know, I know. There's a few things that are screwing up the algorithm with me. About getting my channel out there and all the content, but the stuff I talk about, they don't like to promote. And they're it's look this what I talk about and what I'm easing into here is not for everybody, and we know this. Every one of you who show up here every week, and by God, I appreciate that. You better believe it. And I know where this channel is, and I know how and why it got here. You know, oh, oh dude, it hates anybody who's wanting to preach the truth. It really is. I mean, Dr. Fauci decides he's going to retire, and now all of a sudden we can talk about mask mandates and things like that now. Oh, it's okay now. It wasn't okay then. Yeah. Um, it is what it is. Let's see. Raven Clan. I haven't heard that term spoken in a while. A Raven Clan. Yep. So yeah, um, I've been trying to find back in the late '80s, early '90s. Linda Howe did a special on HBO called Strange Harvest, and I've been trying to find the whole thing. It's kind of hard to find. I think I'm going to have to go to her website to find it. But she covers a wide range of stuff, and some of it. Look, you really, really have to have an open mind to listen to some of the stuff that's being talked about. Because if not, if not, you just going to roll your eyes and just go on and just miss out on a lot of really good, information. Strong information that she has documentation, and there's so many um, people that just don't pay attention to it. But I watched her sit on 105 subs when I started tuning into to her, which is nothing to sneeze at. But her channel has grown a lot within the last year to 217,000 subs. And like I said, the Dark Journalist, DJ talks about a lot of stuff, and he's a wealth of knowledge too. Um, you can you can get a lot of information from him. Um, but when you've got to look at there's so many different avenues, man. So many different avenues. Um, uh, and look, even if you dig through Joe Rogan's archives, despite what you may think of the guy, he has some really good guests on there, and he's grown a lot too. I've seen how he's grown so much over the last few years. You know, his he's not as critical as he used to be because he's had enough people on there to change his mind, change his way of thinking, because he needed that. He didn't go through the eyewitness reports like most of us have. I mean, how much time have each one of us has how much time have we spent listening to eyewitness accounts of different things? It started out with me, my Bigfoot fascination. When I found out, oh shit, that's what I heard, or what's what I thought I heard. And then I got to digging around, found Sasquatch Chronicles. That was the first one, and I tuned into World Bigfoot Radio, and I found Tony Merkel's The Confessionals, and going on to Strange Familiars, and the list goes on, and to all of the, and of course, Bigfoot Odyssey. Um, and let's see, what was the other one? Dogman Encounters. Okay, with Vic Cundiff. Um, Hold on just a second. Duty call. All right, sorry about that. Um, I don't know. All right. Let's see. I think there's a lot of misdirection and deception out there, and take everything with a block of salt. That you said you should be able to entertain all ideas and thoughts without compromising base ideas that you believe. In my opinion, that's right. I mean, you have to. You really, in my this is like you say, in my opinion, you really have to dig around and look and search for yourself. Do your own research if you are interested in this subject. I mean, don't go solely on what I am saying. I'm trying to bring forth information as much best I can, right? And one of the things I was wanting to get to earlier tonight was, the UFO Bigfoot collation. What does one have to do with the other? That was my son probably cooking a couple of corn dogs, a little shit. Putting out the rats. You better believe it. That Geiger counter was bumping. But, there's been so many reports of, you know, the three things, the three magic happenings, paranormal activity, Sasquatch sightings, and UFO sightings all at the same time. No, whether whether the Sasquatch is an alien being or whether they're indigenous to here and we're the alien beings, I don't know. I just find it funny that we are supremely different than any other mammal, reptile, amphibian, marsupial out here, insect, whatever. And it's just, you look at us versus the rest of the planet, the rest of the denizens of this planet, and we're the ones that stand out. I mean, like a turd in a punch bowl, man. It's like you can't miss it. But everybody's got their own. I know some of the government said UFO, alien, Bigfoot, ghosts, etc., are all demonic. There's white papers on it. Demonic. Jesus. You know, I hate the fact that a lot of people, paranormal researchers, are really bad for labeling some type of angry spirit a demon. They're bad for that. They're extremely bad for that, especially on these scripted freaking reality shows. It just eats me up. It burns me up. The story where it sounded like a Sasquatch was put out in front of a group of Amish, cussed the air, and was beamed back up was one of my favorites, dude. Not the reality shows. No. hell could it be? Oh my God. Once again, though, you take Finding Bigfoot. These dipshits are walking around the woods, whooping and hollering, banging on trees, and all this other stuff. And as silly as they looked, and maybe they got something here or there that you can really never confirm, they did do one good thing, and that was bring more attention to the field. You know what they say about, press? There's no such thing as bad press when you're looking to get coverage. If you get the no such thing as bad publicity. I mean, I think that's a load of horse shit, but in this instance, the bad publicity was good for the field. It actually got people up out of their chairs and into the woods and like, what is this? This is bullshit. What are we going to find out here if I whack on this tree and all of a sudden something whacks back? And I'm like, huh. You know, I've never done the whole whack a tree and um, hooping and hollering. I have not done that. In part, yes. In part, yes. It's brought a lot of negative attention to it, and it's served as a misinformation hub. It's make it look like a big joke. It's for entertainment purposes, right? But the fact there are people out here who have genuinely taken a look at what they were producing and say, okay, let's call them out on this, and then something actually happens. But right, right, for real, dude. I mean, there's the people like most of us who have had an encounter look at it and can call the bullshit, with ease and say, you don't do that. Like, I mean, there's certain things that I used to do that I'm not proud of doing it, but I knew when I was doing it, I knew the difference between what I was doing and what somebody else was doing on TV. And I'm like, yeah, that would never happen. Never. But you can find you a swamp ape down there, man. That's interesting. Let's see. But I think it's really interesting because we really don't know what you know Sasquatch is. We don't know for sure what their what their motives are, what they do, if they travel in family pods, packs, groups, whatever you want to call them. Amen. Amen. You get somebody out there and trying to figure it out on their own, and but the fact, where did they get the? And this is also an absolute fact, dude. This is an absolute fact. Most encounters happen when you're not looking, because your spirit energy is different. And I've talked about this in previous shows, how I thought at one point in time how you people who have some type of paranormal encounter are more than likely going to have another one in their lifetime. Maybe, mostly multiple encounters of some sort, because I figured they were marked. But after doing a lot more research and going down the quantum physics trail, listening to um, Nikola Tesla and looking at energy, frequency, and vibration, where we're all made up of energy that has a vibrational frequency. And we can alter our frequency just a hair, up or down. And the lower our frequency, the more likely we are to attract some type of low frequency being. So I don't think it's so much that we're marked as this, we are who we are, if that makes any sense. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes this drivel that falls out of my mouth is like, what the fuck did he just say? Oh my God. And December 20th, 2016, on Three Bridges Road in Florida State Park, no more than 35 yards away, I was hunting for hogs or deer and still have nightmares. Yeah. Yep. See? But see, you've got that instinct, you've got that sense about you. There's some people who just don't get it. This right here could have happened to, I don't know, Joe Blow down the street, and would never been aware of it. Sometimes ignorance is bliss, guys. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. But I believe that we have, um, and this is just me, and I'm been doing deep dives on it for a little while now. Um, yeah, look at the metals that are in blood: copper, iron. You've got salt. Yeah, you got that right. And what some people don't seem to understand too, it's just in my area anyway, they're your standard wood knocks, that sound like somebody's hammering, putting up fence, something like that. But then you hear these rapid knocks that almost sound like a woodpecker, but they're way too freaking loud, dude. Way too loud to be a woodpecker. Way too loud. I have some video where I'm walking along. I'm deep, deep in the woods. I'm on a, on an old mountain bike trail, and at one point, there's a hawk losing its shit. I was just, I never saw it. By God, I heard it. I was right up on it, but I never saw it. And then I heard the woodpecker. And this woodpecker, they can be loud, okay? They can be really loud, but not this, man. I mean, it was loud, dude. Loud. And I was able to actually mimic that, not to the degree where it was as loud, but it was just taking a stick, probably about, I don't know, 1.5 feet, 2 foot long, okay, balancing it in the middle and just flipping it, like like that against the side of a tree, and it would drum against the tree, just to. All right, Bill. I appreciate you coming by. Way. Have a good one, man. Yeah. Once you know you're not alone out there and these things are seeing you, but you probably can't see them. Yeah, it's creepy as shit. It's creepy as shit. Great cast as always. You're part of the cast, dude. Part of the cast. Yeah, I hated missing last week. I'm glad I was able to get things set up for this week. Yeah, let's take a look at this right here. And Dr. Stephen Greer, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. He's actually done a lot more. Yeah, this guy right here in this picture right here, they're talking about Lou Elizondo. You've seen him on a lot of different stuff. You'll see him on a lot of different stuff, and the fact that he's Lou has put himself out there as a quote unquote whistleblower, that he was part of a government UFO research team called ATIP. I don't know what happened last week, Richie. I had to work last week. I was not able to. Not able to put on a show because I had to work. But yeah, he was part of ATIP, and come to find out, you do a little digging into the subject. ATIP never really did exist, and the fact that he now works for uh, a branch of the DoD called the Space Force now, and he was never really away from them. He was always been employed by the government. So yeah, he's thrown out all kinds of misinformation, and he's been called out on it a couple of times. He was on Spaced Out Radio here a couple weeks ago, and old boy called him out on it. So you won't? He asked him straight up. So are you going to debate Dr. Stephen Greer? And he said, Stephen who? And he said, enough said. Because then I could tell. Dave was like, yes, indeed, a different disinfo agent, man. Bob V. You talking about Bob Lazar? He was he was in it. He was in it up to his neck, and apparently Stephen was too. And there was something about him here lately. I watched a couple of videos of his, and it's just like something wasn't right. Something didn't feel right. But I've watched a couple of more of his videos. I think he's kind of redeemed himself in my eyes because he's calling out these other people. And no, I don't know. I'd really love to talk to him. You, you can only glint so much from some of these people. What's his name, Jimmy? What's his name? I can't remember who that is. Oh, yeah. My wife's in bed too. She put the boy to bed too. I'm going a little late. Let's see. I worked till 1 a.m. a couple of nights last week, and then Friday night I worked till 3 a.m. That was a little rough. I wasn't really prepared for that. I hadn't seen a working 3 a.m. in quite a while. Money was good though, so that's why I did it. But it's been a great night so far. Thank you everybody for coming by. It's hour and a half mark. Try not to run these too long. You tend to space out after an hour and a half. Yeah, man. Um, Jimmy, can you remember who that guy was? Oh, I'm going to. I'm going to. I heard it's the shit. Um, uh, it wasn't John DeSouza, was it? Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, Don DeSouza. Okay, okay. Um, I'm gonna pay attention to Jim Goodall too. He's one that kind of goes against the grain. I'm still looking into my ancient text back here. I'm doing that a little bit at a time. It's a lot of information to dig through. a lot of information. Sometimes I get overwhelmed. It's I really I'm have to learn again. On third phase of the moon. Mm. Hmm. Oh, Blake Cousins. Is that right? Am I right? Is it Blake Cousins? He's got a he's got a brother. He's got a twin brother. Um, I can't remember his name. Yep, Blake Cousins. Uh, I'll dig around and find shit. I'm getting fairly decent at that. To do. Well, I'm glad to see Jeff Harding popped in for a little bit. The Pine Island, if you guys saw Pine Island Research jump in here, it's Jeff Harding. I haven't talked to him in a while. We need to touch base, but if you come back and yeah, that's it. Blake and Brent. Yeah, I should have known that. Should have known that. But yeah, give me a shout, Jeff, if you're still hanging around. If you come back around and if you make it this far into the show, give me a holler. It's been a while, or I'll give you a holler sometime. Um, yep, I want to holler at you. See how you doing, buddy. Um, it's been a great night. We've had a pretty good conversation. Miss some of the people that's usually here at night, but it is what it is. There are people who are under the weather, and it gets 10 o'clock's kind of late. Um, hey man, hoaxes and hoodwinks. Hey, how you doing? Let's see, 47. Well, let's give it another 15 minutes. Catch up and chat here. Glad everything's going good. I hope everybody's doing well tonight, and hope the rest of your oh between I'll be honest, guys. Between me doing my own research and all this other stuff, and man, I don't have a chance. I don't have the opportunities like I used to tune into everybody's channel like I used to. I mean, I used to surf around with the rest of you. I'm sure you probably remember, but I just don't. I just don't have the chance to anymore. It's between work and my studies, it's just I don't have a whole lot of time. I need to go back and pick a day to um just figure everything out and trying to get caught up on some of these shows. There's some really good shows out here that I haven't been able to keep up with. I mean, I'm down to listening to lectures on metallurgy and geology while I'm at work. I'll put something on the MP3 on my phone, fire up Spotify, and I have a Bluetooth speaker I'll put behind my seat, and I'll try like hell to listen and get caught up. Then I'll have to go back and re-listen to my lecture and take notes after that. Kind of works out because me, I'm kind of slow on the uptake, so it takes me two or three times sometimes. All depends on what the subject matter is. Who the two guys you're talking about? I'll give them a listen. Yeah, Blake and Brent Cousins are they're backing Stephen Greer. Yeah, I need to check that out. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. Where are you guys? Are you guys in Minnesota or Michigan? I cannot remember. Nor Michigan. Michigan. Never mind. Sorry about that. I was, yep. Yep. I got you, bros. It's just, I figured. I'm glad you told me anyway. Like I said, sometimes I'm a little slow. I get a lot of I get a lot of ideas. I got a lot of information floating around up here now, and my, I was on the phone with my sister today, and we got to talking about this, that, and the third. She brought it up. She she brought some of this stuff up. I normally I won't talk about it. I just leave it. But if somebody brings it up, I'll start talking about it. And sometimes I can't shut up because I don't have much of a filter to begin with. And where I don't normally get to talk to people about this stuff other than right here. And I had to slow down because I could hear her head spinning. It's like, no, 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 no. I'm worried about your eternal soul, brother. I'm like, don't. I'm good. I'm really good. That's cool, man. Dude, I my life depends on spell check. I really do. And sometimes it don't even work. Sometimes I have to do voice to text just so it'll spell it out for me. I'm horrible at spelling. I've got a very broad vocabulary. I just can't spell any of it. It's I'm a bit of a Riri. Indeed, they do. Indeed, they do. And it's one of those things where I could just, I could, over the phone, I could just hear it. I could just hear it. And it's like, uh, uh, yeah, I gotta feed it. I gotta feed people like a baby bird. I was talking to somebody the other day, and well, actually, I was able to talk to somebody about this. I was talking to Daniela, and she and I were talking, and we got to talking about some of the stuff that I've been studying, and she gets it. She gets it, and it was really refreshing to be able to talk to somebody who would banter back and forth and understood what I was talking about. Dude, yeah, processing. And all of a sudden I can almost hear error. Cannot compute. Oh my God. You ever heard yeah, any of you guys remember Buck Rogers and that little robot guy, Twiggy? Bitty. That's all I could hear.
Sorry, Dad. Sorry for interrupting you and your show. It's just my costume works.
Honey, it's okay. It's all good.
So I think the chocolate will make it feel better.
I hope so, Bubby. Mommy put some vapor rub on your chest.
Yeah. Yeah, she did.
Okay. Well, you get to sleep.
Yeah, I think that will.
All right. I love you.
Me too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Your page not found. Sissy, if you're watching this at all, I love you. I'm sorry I overwhelmed you with that mess. I just, okay. Cool. I completely forgot about that, dude. But it's hard to keep. Oh, that's a story for another time. But ladies and gentlemen, it has been a fantastic discussion tonight. I've had a great time. Thanks for everybody who showed up. Thanks for everybody for contributing to the conversation. And this being the channel that it is, we try to distribute the wealth of information that we have, and hopefully maybe somebody can pick it up and run with it, and be brighter and wiser because of it. I'm not saying I'm a guru or nothing like that. I'm far from it. I'm learning just like everybody else. But here we are. We're all together in this boat, and I think she's sailing fine, to be honest with you. That's cool. That's cool. I try not to be so serious about stuff. But yeah, I am going to call it a night, ladies and gents. It's been it's been good. It's been good, and I am I'm ready. I think I'm going to go to bed, guys. I got a long day tomorrow, and well, for what it's worth, um, You guys are the greatest, man. And next week, the Swing Machine. It's good to see you. Good to see you, man. Hoff, Richie, Jimmy, Pyro, Jen, Harry Man, Hoaxes and Hoodwinks. Thanks, guys, for coming by and hanging out for a bit. And it's been a good night. And I want to thank everybody for stopping by. Until next time, guys. I love you, mean it.